Speaking like a CEO in business or team meetings isn't about pounding your fist on the table and commanding everyone's attention. It's about speaking with clarity, energy, and confidence to draw people into what you're saying. And by the way, you also need to do all of this while making a deep connection with your employees or your audience. Knowing how to do this will help you build visibility, recognition, influence, and it will help you gain a presence in a room that'll help you unlock your leadership potential way beyond your current position. If you've been looking for a strategy to know how to speak like an executive in meetings, this is the video. In this video, I'm going to show you how to do that in 4 impactful ways. These 4 changes in how you approach the meeting will make you more confident and self-assured during those business meetings. So if you're shy or introverted, you really don't know how to share or articulate your ideas, or if you suffer from self-doubt and you question your ideas, or if you're a young professional or a new leader or a person who's wanting to level up to a higher leadership role, but you're intimidated by those more experienced people in the room, these 4 changes are exactly what you need to hear. Hey there, it's Jay Timms. I'm an organizational psychologist and leadership expert, and I've consulted for Fortune 500 companies, and I've guided literally thousands of executives and leaders whose teams quadrupled their company's profits in the last 35 years. If this is the type of video that you're looking for to help you get ahead and make you one of the top 5% professionals in your organization, just let me know. Just comment top 5% in the comments below and like this video and subscribe to my channel. Change number 1 that you really need to consider is balancing assertiveness with connection. You know, there's this guy that I used to be in meetings with a lot, and every time that he came into this meeting, everyone in the room just kind of went, oh crap, he's here in this meeting. You know, he would talk over people. He would use a voice that was loud. And I mean, naturally he was a loud person, but he just bumped it up. And so he was loud, he was aggressive. If people made suggestions, he'd shoot them down right in the middle of the meeting. He made people feel stupid, and he would always get into a fight with someone in a meeting. It was so frustrating. That is not assertiveness, that's aggression. Now, on the other end of the spectrum, I've also been in meetings with people who just disappear into the woodwork. And sometimes these are not the leaders, these are just the people in the room. And they don't speak up, they don't offer an opinion, or if there is an opinion out there that's being offered, they will just acquiesce and just do exactly what everybody else is doing. That is not necessarily the right thing either, because just by trying to connect with people and trying to not ruffle feathers, that's not going to create an environment in your workplace that's going to be helpful. So there's a balance between assertiveness, which is, here's my voice, here's my opinion, here's what I think, and I don't want to ruffle any feathers and I don't want to frustrate anybody. Here's a few things that you can do. So first of all, in the meetings, use we language. Now, I know that sounds like pop psychology. Use we instead of I, but it actually applies here. You know, instead of saying, I think this should happen, ask a question and turn it around and collaborate and ask something like, well, what if we considered X, Y, and Z? What that does is that allows you to get your opinion across, but not in a way where this is my opinion, listen to it. And so by flipping it and asking, have we considered this? Have we thought about this? That allows that to occur. Second thing that you can do to balance this assertiveness with connection is practice active listening. Always appreciate other people's thoughts. Even if you don't agree with them, appreciate that or be grateful for their thought because they're adding to that. So one of the ways that you can do this is you say, for instance, Joan, I really appreciate your perspective on whatever it was you were talking about. Building on that, I'd suggest blah, blah, blah. Again, what you're doing is that you are connecting with that person, building that relationship and saying, hey, I heard what you said and I appreciate that. Another thing to do to balance that assertiveness with connection is ask thought-provoking questions. My dad has a saying that the most powerful person in the room is the one that's asking the questions. Not in an aggressive way, again, in an assertive way. So here's some questions that you could think about using. So how might this impact our long-term strategy? Or, what potential challenges do we foresee? What that does is it helps everyone in the room to recognize that you are looking beyond, that you are seeing things differently, and you are asking them to stretch themselves. And that is a collaborative thing where you are saying, all right, everybody, what are we going to do about this? And have we considered that? So recognize that there's a difference between assertive and aggressive. You don't want to be aggressive. Assertive is just simply letting other people know what you think, but doing it in a way where you're connecting with the people in the room and they feel valued by you, whether you're the leader or not. Change number 2 is really for my introverted friends. It's how to be powerful and successful in a meeting as an introvert. So like I said to you before, I am naturally an introvert. I know a lot of people go, no, absolutely not. I have really had to work on this for years and years and years, trying to overcome my introversion. And still, when I get into meetings sometimes, I get this feeling in my stomach. So there's a few things that I have done to really overcome this and allow myself the opportunity to feel more confident in those meetings and give me that power to speak up as an introvert. So one of the things that I do is I prepare in advance. I have a filing cabinet in my head of conversations. When I know I'm going into a conversation, I will always prepare myself and have that conversation many, many times, multiple times, as often as I can. And so I have, okay, if they say this, then this is how I'm going to respond. Or if they say that, this is how I'm going to respond. And then when they talk and when I'm in a meeting, as we're going to it, all I do is I go to the filing cabinet in my head and I find that file and I pull out that script. So prepare in advance before you get in there. And that script you can just fall back on if you feel nervous. Another thing that I do is I use the power of 3. You'll notice in most of my videos and most of my keynotes, I will use 3, sometimes 4, like now. Use the power of 3. So structure your points in groups of 3. That way it's really easy for you to remember and it's easy for others to remember, and it gives your words more impact. And another thing that I do is I take mindful breaks. Listen, if you are feeling overwhelmed, take a moment to breathe. It's okay to say, you know what? Give me a minute to think about that. Here's what happens when I do that in meetings. First of all, people respect that. They respect the fact that I'm not just going to go and throw out whatever is in my head at the moment. I'm a person who needs to think over what I'm going to say. And usually when I say, give me a minute or two to collect my thoughts, usually by the time the next person has had their say, I've been able to collect it. It is okay to feel like you need to say, give me a second. Being an introvert is not like the worst thing that you can do in leadership. It's actually a bit of a superpower because you and I think differently. Use it by using these 4 things to help you overcome that introversion. Change number 3 really is about how to build confidence in yourself. Again, a lot of times when you're sitting in a meeting where you're not leading the meeting, or if you're being asked to lead the meeting, there's this whole thing that goes on in our heads and we question ourselves. So here's a few things that I've done in the past to help me overcome that. Now, the first thing is, it's going to sound a little weird, but use power poses. If you've never heard of power poses, go onto YouTube and look up power poses. These are physical things that you can do. And a power pose, here's a power pose. Don't think I'm too weird. This is a power pose. Before you go into a meeting, stand in a power pose for 2 minutes. Now, research says that this can actually boost your confidence. Another thing that I do is I've got a playlist on Spotify, and it's my pre-meeting playlist. And it has some stuff on it that I don't normally listen to. It's got like Metallica, Rob Zombie. It's got, kind of like really, really heavy music. And it helps to build my energy up for that. So that's one thing you can do to build your confidence. Another thing that you can do is reframe that negative self-talk. Like I said, a lot of times we sit in those meetings and go, oh man, I hope I don't mess this up. Flip that a little bit. And instead of saying, I hope I don't mess it up, because what you're doing now is you're focusing on messing up. Instead of focusing on, I hope I don't mess it up, focus on something else. Focus on things like, okay, this is an opportunity for me to present my expertise and the things that I've learned and the things that I know. And so when you reframe that negative self-talk, instead of focusing on the negative, you focus on the positive, it really helps to build that confidence. Another thing that you can do is focus on your strengths. Look, you're awesome. I know that you may not hear that enough, but you're pretty incredible. You're an amazing person and you do have strengths. So you just need to remind yourself of your unique skills and experiences. You know, what perspective can you bring to this meeting that only you can bring to this meeting? You have things about you that are amazing, and it's okay to recognize your weaknesses, but don't forget, you've got some strengths too. So change number 4 really is about taming your negative imposter syndrome. And so if you have imposter syndrome as a new leader or somebody who's taking over a new role or something, and you just look around the room and go, how am I ever going to measure up to these people? Here's a few things to consider. First of all, go back to what we were just talking about a second ago. Just acknowledge your achievements, okay? Keep that win list of your accomplishments, big and small, and just go over it before meetings just to remind you of the things that you're good at. You are good at things, so be okay with knowing that you have that. Another thing to do is embrace the learning curve. I heard somebody one time say this really uniquely, and it was at a time in my life where I was looking at someone saying, I am never going to measure up to this person. And a friend of mine came to me and we were talking about it, and she said, you cannot compare your chapter 2 to his chapter 32. So what she was talking about is that there is a development. Just because you're not there right now does not mean you're not going to get there. That person that you're looking up to and worshiping and thinking, holy cow, they're amazing, they were in your shoes too. At one point, they were there. So embrace that learning curve. Recognize that you don't need to know everything already. This is an opportunity for you to learn and grow. You know, beyond communicating effectively in team meetings, it's also essential to know how to communicate with your team members, your colleagues, or executives in one-on-one settings. So this includes both formal discussions and casual conversations. Many experienced and aspiring leaders struggle with communication, and they're often missing the mark when it comes to articulating their thoughts effectively. So over the past 30 plus years, I've worked with and guided hundreds of leaders and executives and their teams to learn the art of making clear and impactful communication. This experience has taught me how to convey these ideas and have tough conversations in a way that just radiates influence throughout the organization and the business. I'm going to be hosting a free 1-hour masterclass on how to communicate like a great leader and have tough conversations seamlessly. This session is packed with actual tools and templates that I've created and mastered over the last 30 years. You'll learn the essential strategies that'll help you communicate effectively while avoiding the mistakes that I made along the way. This session is happening on September the 12th at 1 p.m. Pacific Standard Time, and only the first 100 registrants are completely free, and seats are filling up fast, so don't miss out. Secure your free spot now and elevate your communication skills. The registration link for the masterclass is in the video's description. Go ahead and check it out. I really hope that this video was worth it for you. Please share this video with the person who you think needs it. And if you need to level up your leadership skills and become a truly impactful leader, please subscribe to my channel. You're going to gain insights and advice that you won't find anywhere else to help you grow in your career.